From infancy on, we all learn from our parents, our peers, and our society that there's a difference in what is acceptable or correct behavior for a man and for a woman.
I remember my own father. I remember I was about 12 or 13, and I went to kiss him, and we were outside, and he stuck out his hand. He was kind of embarrassed being in public, kissing me. He'd rather shake hands. It made him feel more comfortable.
Like my younger brother, when we were younger, he would want to hit me sometimes, but my parents would stop him because he's a boy. So I could hit him, but he couldn't hit me because I'm a girl.
Well, I think because a girl is a girl, she's taught that these are the things that a girl does. She walks a certain way, she talks a certain way, she looks a certain way. And the same thing with a fellow. He's taught that these are the things that a fellow should do. He should walk a certain way and look manly and walk manly and talk manly. And so if a girl happens to walk a little like a fellow, she's accused of being masculine. If a fellow happens to walk like a girl, he's accused of being feminine. So there's a real conflict here of roles.
For most of the history of mankind, learning one's role, masculine or feminine, was fairly easy. For thousands of years, the physical differences between men and women helped make clear the role for each sex. The man, being bigger and stronger, protected the family from the enemy and from wild animals. It was the man who went out from the shelter to hunt the food. The woman stayed close to home, where she prepared the wild game for food. With the animal hides, she made the clothing for the family. She prepared the meals and cared for the children. Today, it's no longer easy for each sex to learn his or her role. Now, in the 20th century, girls are going to high school and college. Women now have the political rights of men and most of the economic rights. The new morality, the pill, the automobile, easy divorce, changes.
Well, I think that femininity has really gone down the drain. I liked it when men and women looked different. Men should look masculine and women should look feminine. I don't like all this hair from the back looking the same length, the clothes, the rear ends, the feet. It's just the same. It's too much the same.
In the past, one dressed very soberly, as unobtrusively as possible. Otherwise, there were doubts about one's solidity, one's dependability, whether one was worthy of trust. Today, I think a growing number are no longer so vulnerable to this kind of social anxiety, no longer so threatened by it, certainly not to the degree that was...
Some of the traditionally feminine tasks are being shared by the men.
My husband is quite tall, over 6 foot, handsome, and very virile. He's never had any question about helping me around the house. He doesn't hesitate to help with the dishes or run a vacuum or diaper a small child. I think he's quite sincere. And from the very beginning of our marriage, we've always shared whatever has to be done.
When a man starts doing a woman's job around the house, when he starts doing her work, well, that's when he becomes like a woman. And washing diapers and dishes, I never done nothing like that at all. I work every day. I bring the paycheck home at the end of the week. I mean, the guys would do the women's work. That's why women are spoiled.
Some of the traditionally masculine tasks are being performed by women. What is a woman's role today?
Well, there's this big thing, about a lot of things are built into how a woman should stay at home and not work and so on, and that a woman should do this and a woman should do that.
Well, I feel the woman's role is primarily as a helpmeet to her husband. By this I mean one who's best serves in the home and in helping the husband, whatever his work might be, his occupation or vocational choice. I think her best calling is a housewife.
No, I don't think a woman's place is in the home. I think everyone, whether he's a man or a woman, is an individual, and he must or she must count for something. If you're asking me, do I think a woman is a man's helpmeet, the answer is definitely no.
A husband, a wife, and children. That's what life is all about.
I think a woman could be happy at home, could probably lead a very productive life. And personally, it would not work for me.
100% wrong. Absolutely 100% wrong for a woman to work. My wife never worked. We were together for 18 years. We raised 6 kids. Damn good family, too.
For those women who have a need for more scope in their lives, I think society will accept this more and more.
She never worked a day from the time we got married. I brought home the paycheck. She was a damn good housekeeper. Kept the house clean. Now, there weren't any arguments in our house. You do your part, and I do my part.
Well, I think today women can probably go out and get jobs very equal to men and probably earn very much the same kind of salary.
Oh, no, they can't at all. Only in special circumstances could a woman earn as much as a man. That's very unusual.
Well, there's this marvelous statement by some big business executive, and he says he never hires women because they don't look like him, and they don't talk like him, and they don't think like him.
No, there are more opportunities today for women. I think they're looking for more. They're pushing much harder today in jobs.
Well, I do. I make more money than my husband. Oh, not very much. It's only a few $1,000s or so.
They want all the rights of being a man and all the privileges of being a woman.
I'd like to see a woman treated like, not like a man, but as fairly as a man.
For richer, for poorer, in sickness and in health, to love and to cherish, till death do us part.
To love, cherish, and to obey till death do us part.
Today, many marriage ceremonies no longer require that the bride pledge obedience to the groom. Long-established masculine-feminine roles within marriage are now being questioned.
The idea of putting to obey in the wedding ceremony seems to have gone out with the Dark Ages. In the 20th century, I think marriage is a 50-50 proposition.
I grew up in a house where my father's word was law. He didn't have to say too much, but just the idea of his being there, being in the room, scared us half to death. And I walked in and saw him. I just shuddered.
Well, what was good about that?
Well, it wasn't really good, but I do think there should be some authority in a home, and I think it's the man's place to take over the authority. I think he should be the one to
Today, a woman gives the order and a man obeys her.
I think men today are very lax. I know in our household, I seem to be giving all the discipline, and they get absolutely nothing from him. These kids get away with murder. Of course, he's not around that much.
Well, I think a man can never be satisfied with a domineering wife or a domineering woman. So I think this is contrary to his own nature. He's made to be a leader and responsible and the head of the home and to be the provider. So to accept a domineering wife, I think, is contrary to his own nature.
He's supposed to be the head of the house.
And likewise, I think that a wife not really being made to be domineering, I think eventually this will be her own downfall by being dominant over the man.
I think women are much more aggressive today. The reason probably is because man has abdicated his role.
Why?
Why has man abdicated his role?
Yes.
Well, that's a very good question.
Jab, turn that left hand on the right, straight up. Right hand straight. Move around, move around.
Traditionally, the traits we have considered most masculine are physical traits, traits of physical prowess, and particularly the ability to engage in physical violence. Only when a man played the role in that way was he permitted any scope for what were considered softer traits. For instance, in the past, on the few occasions when you ever saw physical demonstrativeness between men in public, who were the men involved? In my experience, they were always either soldiers or athletes. I remember a famous American writer who, I'm sure, was accepted by many people as especially masculine. I remember the brawl also he got into in some tavern with another man over the question who had the most hair on his chest. Well, a man who gets into a tavern brawl over a question like that just doesn't feel very masculine.
I read something once, I don't even remember where, that the real man, you know, the manly man, well, he's so sure of his masculinity that he's not afraid to be sensitive to, like, art and poetry, or even to cry. You know, he has that feeling thing.
I find I'm quite repelled by the brutal side of man. Is this the male image, to go out and kill and draw blood and go hunting and fishing, whatever? I don't care for this. No, my husband loves animals. Perhaps in the context of what is male and feminine, perhaps this is soft.
Well, I suspect that males at an early age today see through such pretenses at masculinity. They don't need to go around banging on their chests. You could put it this way, that they're more aware that, like women, they have human needs for dependency, and they're no longer so afraid of such needs as they were in the past.
I simply do not believe that anyone is all male or female. Almost all personalities have the aspects which are not in the traditional role of female or male. And I think it's right that we should have bits of each other.
I really don't think they have a pattern or a standard that they're committed to in life.
You know, there is no one way. It's really what works for you.
The whole trouble today, they ain't got no backbone. No backbone. This whole generation today, there's something lacking. This whole great generation, there's something lacking.
The values Americans lived by in the past, the present generation, I think for the first time, has seen through them. And with the decline of purely arbitrary definitions of masculinity and femininity, it's possible, I think, now for the present generation to approach one another more on the basis of traits that are human traits.